So this is the Elementi Air Room at Wavetrain. This is a complete custom engineering sort of room. We don't consider design at all. We're just about engineering in this room, picture quality, sound quality. This is one of our sound isolation doors from the CinemaWorks range. This is a sound isolation door, so if I knock on that, you can hear how quiet the door is. That's because it's internally damped to stop vibrations transferring through the door. And then part of this door system, you can hear as I open that up, the pressure sort of releases. There's a drop seal in the bottom of this door, as there is on the next one as well. And this is what's termed an airlock. So we've got two doors, one on the outside, one on the inside, two seal sets. And so let's go in and have a look at the cinema. This is the Wavetrain Cinemas Air Cinema. It's very much a custom engineering room. So we quite often fiddle and change things around in this room to experiment with different things. It's an Elementi Air system, which means we've got ribbon tweeters in the system rather than the conventional compression drivers, which you might often see in the industry. We use this in a large portion of our cinemas. Now, the reason why is the tweeter is much easier to listen to. It's pretty much almost the perfect transducer in some respects. It's incredibly flat frequency response. It's very accurate in the time domain, which I'm highly critical of when in our designs to getting the time domain right. It's very musical. It's fantastic on voices. So it's a much more relaxed sound than compression drivers. Compression drivers tend to be in your face. They're very visceral. When the clients are listening to a system on a compression driver system like the Fire system, they tend to sit there and their body is incredibly tense, and they get to the end of the demonstration and they're like, oh my God, that was amazing, and everything about that, what they're saying is tense. When clients come into the air room and they sit down and they experience the sound here, even though I'm playing potentially at exceptionally high levels, their body language, everything about them is just so relaxed. So even though there's a benefit both ways, you could definitely go fire, you can definitely go air, and there's clients that have particular needs for what they want the system is to achieve. I would say that fire is incredibly visceral and does give you that emotional sort of connection to the movie. Particularly movies with gunshots and lots of action orientated that direction. The Fire system is going to be very engaging for that type of movie. But generally speaking, for movies that have a lot of dialogue, singing, this is just so much more relaxing. Personally, somebody like my wife, if I have a compression driver system, she's constantly telling me to turn the system down. But when I installed the Elementi Air system, her reaction changed dramatically, and I was able to listen to my movies at a much higher level and have her enjoy the sound as well. The highest praise I got from her with this system was just simply, this sounds much more balanced than the previous system that we had. But all of our clients agree that this is just an easier system to live with. Also, if you're going to use the system for music, I would say that this system is substantially more musical than an Elementi Fire system. Once again, if you're into rock music, Elementi Fire could be the right choice for you, but certainly vocals, jazz, anything like that is going to suit these Elementi Air systems. We've only got one row of chairs in here, so I don't actually need as many speakers to get the coverage that I want at the seats. Next door doesn't have front wide speakers in it. It's a smaller room and there's less of a gap between the front LCRs and where the surround channels start. So this room does have front wides. So that being the case, there's 9 channels in the horizontal plane. So my front 3 LCRs, my 2 front wide speakers, then I've got side surround speakers and rear speakers. So there's my 9 channels in the horizontal plane. There's 4 Atmos channels. I don't need any more than 4 Atmos channels because I've only got the 1 row of chairs. If I had maybe 2 rows in a big room, I might consider putting in another set of Atmos speakers, but this does the job for what I've actually got in the room. Now the big thing with this room is is how we've actually done the subwoofers in the room. Now, the subwoofers are summed essentially as a single channel, but within the Dirac ART tuning that we've actually done, there's multiple subwoofers that have been combined into that sub-channel. So within the room, I would actually say that there's 4 sort of primary subwoofers doing the general bass in the room. There's a big 18-inch ported subwoofer at the front and at the back of the room. Then there's side-mounted iridium speakers from the subwoofers from the Elementi range. They are capable of doing infrasonic, but they're also fantastic at reproducing the full frequency range of the LFE channel. So they're coupled in as a normal subwoofer. And then we've got these big boys here, which are our infrasonic subwoofers. Now, this is a unique utilization of the subwoofers in this room, and the way we've coupled them together is probably not something that you would want to attempt at home. It's something that we would do as part of our cinema designs, and it's the reason why Wavetrain Cinemas would get engaged on a project, is this sort of higher level utilization of subwoofers. These subs are only handling from 23 Hertz down into the infrasonic range. So if these sub drivers are moving and they have prestigious movement, there's about, I think it's 58 millimeters of one-way movement in terms of the drivers. So when these subwoofers are moving, it's because there's infrasonic bass going on the audio track. Now, why have I actually done it that way? For a few reasons. One is infrasonic is actually only specific to certain movies. The large majority of movies that you will get in your home cinema do not have infrasonic in them. Infrasonic is more of a new thing in terms of people being aware of the fact that there's infrasonic bass on movie tracks. And most of that infrasonic that was in the movie tracks was accidental. It wasn't really intended by the director. It's not something that was ever reproduced in the studio. The fact that the infrasonics was there and not filtered out was more accidental. These days, there are directors that are specifically factoring in infrasonic and putting it onto the audio recordings. So you are getting more content now becoming available with infrasonic. So it is becoming more relevant. But the thing within this room is, because these subwoofers are forward of where you're sitting in the room, and because infrasonics requires so much sound pressure level, and these drivers are moving so much, you can see whenever there's infrasonics in the audio track because you can see the drivers moving. And it's interesting to watch clients in this room and having them realize what they consider to be really, really amazing bass, which isn't infrasonic. So infrasonic's something extra. And while we can do infrasonic for any of our clients, there is a cost attached to it. You need bigger subwoofers that can move more air. And if you're going to have bigger subwoofers that can move more air, you need bigger amplifiers. There's a cost involved in going to infrasonic. But not only that, I would also say that there's another side of infrasonics, which is sound isolation. There is really no data, no engineering data with regards to materials and structure with regards to infrasonic. So from that perspective, from an engineering point of view, we're guessing as to how the system is going to perform in terms of how much infrasonic bass we can actually stop going out of the walls of the rooms that we're constructing. So if I had a cinema close to a main living area where I knew that it was critical that that sound isolation wasn't going to be an issue, that sound wasn't going to transfer from the cinema into that critical space, I would probably be saying to the client that infrasonics may be something that they want to avoid. And I think that's something that people should be considering when they're looking at this type of system. The projector system in this room is a Christie M 4K 25 RGB laser projector. You can see the projector up in the hush box there. So the hush box has ventilation fans that are pulling air into the projector box. And then we've got a big fan at the rear of the room that's extracting the heat from the projector outside the cinema and into the warehouse. And all of this box is lined with absorptive material to keep the projector as quiet as possible. And then we've got port glass on the front of the box. And you can see here that we've got this masked out so that the hole there is exactly the size of the image that's coming from the projector. So there's no stray light coming to the cinema room. Now, this is part of the reason why we've got such a high contrast in here. So this projector is rated at 7000:1 with the ultra high contrast lens, but this cinema here is actually 8200:1 on-off contrast, which is an amazing number. Now remember, that's native, that's no dimming involved. When you've got dynamic dimming happening, you can always see that dimming, you can always see that shift, which sort of takes you out of the movie a little bit. To have a projector that's 8200:1 native contrast, no dimming, is actually an amazing thing to see, particularly when the anti-contrast on this projector is about 3 to 4 times the next best projectors on the market. Within the Elementi range of products, there's ported subwoofers and there's sealed subwoofers. Now, if you're doing infrasonic work in cinemas, and a lot of the cinema subwoofers that are on the market that you see, they're sealed. So for infrasonic, you need to do sealed subwoofers. So while there are the occasional sort of ported designs that go into the infrasonic range, generally speaking, to get the subwoofer to couple with the room correctly, it needs to be a sealed design. So now the downside of doing any sort of sealed design subwoofer, in my opinion, is the speed of the bass. I put a lot of emphasis on speed of bass and timing of bass in the cinemas that we execute. The reason that's important to me is because I want that really definitive whack in the chest when something's happening on screen. Now, most people would think that something like a kick bass drum in a concert that they're going to is actually where your bass is actually located most of the time. But a kick drum is actually about 50 hertz. It's not that low in the frequency range. But if I'm going to play a concert, like what you might go and see somewhere in Australia, what you'll be listening to when you go to the concerts are ported designs like this. And the reason why they sound so impactful and the kick drum is so tight and hits you in the chest so hard is because the driver has huge amounts of speed. These are very lightweight drivers. They require very little effort to move them. This driver is designed to be incredibly rigid. And being a ported design and not having that pressure in behind the enclosure means that there's more freedom for the driver to move quickly. And the other thing with this type of subwoofer design is there's harmonics that are being reproduced by the subwoofer, not just the note that it's exactly playing. So there's a certain type of bass that it sounds a certain way with this type of ported design that I don't think that you can replicate with a sealed driver. So the downside of using a ported design is how low they go. This particular subwoofer, the port tune is 23 hertz. So at 23 hertz, the subwoofer is producing really high amounts of bass. And then from 23 hertz, it drops off really, really quickly, which means it's still producing bass down to 20 hertz, but nowhere near as much as at 23 hertz. Why do we do that? Because ported subwoofers don't require the room to get room gain. So if I have a room that actually is very large, where I wouldn't get room gain anyway, or if it was an open plan room and wasn't sealed, then I probably wouldn't get room gain the same either. Then these types of subwoofers will give me consistency in my design. Where I want to reproduce infrasonic bass, then I'll move over to the sealed designs. And that's why this room is a combination of ported designs and sealed subwoofers. So in behind this screen, which we can't see at the moment, is the Elementi Air Tempest speakers. They're a really unusual design. in terms of they can reproduce 132 dB at 1 meter, and that's flat to 30 hertz. There's not many speakers that I know of, certainly, that can reproduce that type of frequency response down to 30 hertz. They're an incredibly wide horizontal dispersion. They're 120 degrees. So massive soundstage from these speakers. But in terms of, because they're flat down to 30 hertz, they've got essentially 2 sealed subwoofers per speaker. So, and because they've got so much output down to 30 hertz, within the Dirac ART system that we've designed, we're utilizing the front LCRs in the LFE channel. Not the center channel, because I don't want to put extra strain on the center channel, but certainly the left and right front speakers are being used as part of the LFE channel. So essentially there's another 2 subwoofers per speaker, so 4 in total that are part of the LFE channel, which means there's a total of 11 subwoofers in this room performing the function of LFE. And that's part of the reason why this room is got such prestigious bass and such well-balanced bass through the entire room. The acoustic signature of our cinemas is the most critical element of what we do. And here you can see all of the engineering sort of out on display. This is an engineering room. We don't try and hide anything that we're trying to do in this room. So we've got diffusers here that are scattering in the horizontal plane that keep the most amount of energy at our setting position, but still improve the soundstage of the room. So still give us a very clear left, center, right sound presentation, but not absorbing the first reflection increases the size of the soundstage. So, and that gets me to something else that's in this room that I mentioned earlier, which is the front wide speakers. Front wides are something that can be used in your cinema designs, or can be left out. Now, the reason why this speaker exists in the surround sound format is to create or to fill a hole that exists in the audio in the room. In this particular room, and this is not a massive room, it's 7 meters long, my LCR speakers are here, and my side surround speaker is probably 4 meters away from this speaker. So there's automatically, generally speaking, going to be a hole in the audio track when sounds pan from this left speaker to the left surround speaker. And so the idea with the front wides was that speaker would fill that hole in the audio track. Now, in this particular room, if I turn that speaker off, you can barely notice the difference. Why is that the case? The reason is because the Air Tempests have such a wide horizontal dispersion that the soundstage is extending beyond the screen to the wall. And this is where using diffusers on the front wall become critical. If I'm controlling the reflection off the front wall, not eliminating it, so if I put absorptive material all over this front wall and absorb that reflection, what I'm doing is I'm killing the reflection in the room, which destroys my ability as a human to perceive space. We need reflections in a room to perceive space. So normally, if I was absorbing the sound at that position, my soundstage would finish right here where the speaker is, and it wouldn't extend beyond that. Because I'm allowing that reflection to exist at my seating positions, my soundstage now extends all the way out to the wall at this position. Now, if I've got sound coming from the side wall from this position, and I've got a front wide speaker here, and I eliminate that speaker, I can barely tell the difference in terms of the orientation of where the sound's coming from. If I didn't design this way, then this would be a much more necessary speaker in the system. Now, you need to consider the fact that a lot of the audio tracks that we get for our industry are only 7.1.4, and you are not allowed to use this speaker without changing the audio format, meaning if I wanted to use that speaker, I could take a Dolby Atmos mix, I could down mix it to surround sound and then up mix it back up to use all the speakers in the room, but I would be creating a sound for that speaker in the room. It wouldn't actually exist in the audio track. So there's not a lot of direct content for these speakers. And if you're designing the cinema correctly, I would tend to say that it's not a necessary speaker, and for us, it's the very first speaker that we would drop out of the room. But if you weren't designing or engineering the room acoustically the way that we do, it might be something that it would have to be put back into the design. There's lots of different acoustic solutions out there that people use, but we've formulated our solutions based on delivering the best outcomes for all of the audio in the room. So we're specifically talking about movies and surround sound for movies, but if I was talking about stereo, 2 speakers, which we also play in this room, then having that soundstage extend to the side walls and creating a bigger soundstage with 2 speakers is actually hugely important, in my opinion, from a stereo perspective. So our philosophy for designing isn't just for movies, it's for everything that you would play in this room. And I know that everything that we play in this room sounds amazing. I've never had somebody come into this room and say your 2-channel music isn't exceptional. Everything we play in these rooms is exceptional.